Hello, you're listening to Linguistically Aware, a spoken word program about the ways we use, understand, and think about language. In this episode, I will be talking about language variation. I will talk about how language changes and what changes are specific to Canadian society. Before you tune in to CJSW 90.9 FM radio station, I'd recommend that you acknowledge the territory that you're living in, because these are the territories of the people of the Treaty 7, Region 3 in Alberta. Sociolinguistics is the study of the relationship between society and language. Language is central to how we interact with people, and the way we use language says a lot about us. We use different words, different pronunciations. We use different structures. And because of that, we are members of a particular speech community. That is a group of people who share certain social conventions, or as we call them, sociolinguistic norms. For example, when I speak English, most people can tell that I am a foreigner. This is because of the accent that I have. In fact, we talked in one of our episodes that everyone has an accent, right? But you can recognize that my accent is not a North American accent or an accent of a person who is a native speaker, which is nothing bad per se, but it is noticeable. You grew up in the community that you grew up in, right? So you're used to that language and you have acquired this language. I have not. I acquired a different one. And when learning English language, I could not reach this native-like proficiency or native-like pronunciation. This means that my speech will be recognized or noticed by native speakers, and this is perfectly normal. But it is a fact that language tells you where I might be from and that I might not be from Canada, for example. Language also tells people with shared norms something about their place in speech community. For example, I am probably youngish, or still young. I'd like to believe that. I am probably relatively educated. Some features in my language are salient and recognized within the community as having a particular social meaning, and they are called sociolinguistic markers. Other features such as, for example, vowels or the choice between used to and would be below the radar, as we can say, but can be shown by a large-scale study to be associated with particular social characteristics. These features are called sociolinguistic indicators. So both indicators and markers affect speech community's norm. These norms are shared by all members of a speech community. So sociolinguistics studies the language of the community, not the speech of a single speaker. A very important aspect of sociolinguistics in the study that studies the speech of the community is what we call mutual intelligibility. Mutual intelligibility is what linguists usually use to determine whether people are speaking the same language or not. If people from two different places, let's say London, Canada and London, England, can understand each other, then they are speaking the same language. And the systematic differences in their speech reflect different dialects or subsets of the same language. A great example is the Balkans, or the countries in the Balkans that separated. For example, Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Macedonia, Montenegro. These countries all speak one and the same language, and they are of course mutually intelligible, but they speak with different dialects and subsets of the same language. Although, because or due to political differences, these countries have declared their languages different from each other, it is still one and the same language, and that is what binds us and what should connect us, of course. In practice, as I said, mutual intelligibility is not always used to decide whether two different ways of speaking should be considered different languages or dialects of the same language. For example, speakers of Swedish and Norwegian can understand each other, but Swedish and Norwegian are considered two different languages because they are in two different countries. As I just mentioned, the same thing is with Balkans, but I believe that Swedish and Norwegian, but although I'm not 100% sure, are different, much more different than Serbo-Croatian. The Chinese situation, for example, is the opposite. Cantonese and Mandarin are not mutually intelligible. Speakers tell us that they cannot always understand each other, and but their speakers consider them dialects because they are spoken in the same country, and words of similar meaning in each language are written using the same characters. So there are different standards when you determine whether something is the same or different language, and it's not always up to linguists, right, to determine, but to certain political and state matters. Another aspect of the naming issue is that many non-linguists reserve the term language for what linguists call the standard variety, or the language that is taught in school. That is language that is used in formal writing, language that is heard from newscasters and other media that are believed to projecting this standard variation or some kind of authority, or at least competence. All other varieties of the language we call non-standard, and they're often named dialects. So there is standard language that we use in our research. For example, I need to recruit for my research some speakers of standard French, while I would not want speakers of non-standard French for this particular research, while some other researchers would recruit participants of non-standard French specifically. The problem with standardization are value judgments. Oftentimes, people who speak the standard variety are thought more educated, more competent, and more sophisticated, richer in a way, and probably literally, than people who speak non-standard languages or non-standard dialects. The reason for that is because it is perceived, dialects are sometimes perceived broken, chaotic, limited, and sociolinguists avoid the naming problem by using the value neutral term variety for any subset of a language. The standard variety, as well as regional, class, or ethnic varieties, for example. Others reclaim the term dialect and speak of the standard dialect, as well as regional dialects, or sociolects, or ethnolects. They'll often say everyone has a dialect, and we do believe so, that everyone has a dialect, as everyone has an accent. So what is most important when talking about standard and non-standard speech is that there should not be value judgments. We're all differently capable of doing things, and our language or our variety does not determine what we're capable of. So value judgments should not be a problem in the society that we live in.
She had high heel shoes with a high class tone, in vogue with 6 deep, never ever alone. Always a full mailbox on a cellular phone, catching attention, eyes, ears, and bones. Stepping in the front door, expecting a free cup. Excuse me, queen, that's gonna be $5. Hip hop ain't paying the bills in this apartment, and we don't play the pretty face coupon market. So move on, barking with your blue blonde jargon. Break your wallet, take it to the keg and park it. It's the kind of party where you spew off target, miss the bathroom sink and hit the living room carpet. Zooming so hard that you chew on garbage, confused and long gone from the booze and carbon. Roughnecks got beef, but the two bound to start shit and teasing business like the Ulan market. The only problem is the party's at large, causing a loud ruckus congregation in my backyard. I got word that the neighbor's gonna call the cops unless y'all get it together and choose one. The house or the garage? Take that to the house or the garage. Girl, I know you got enough clout to shut the city down, but for now you gotta bounce from my yard and choose one. That's the house or the garage. Gonna take that to the house or the garage. Ripping and tearing up the track cause we live so fast that I ain't got time to die young. Just slap me 2 shots and say choose your poison, cause everybody's gotta do dirt at some point. Kid choice, a coin flip, fate's double jointed. With a busy schedule and no time for appointments, so I sneak in her office when she's out on the weekend and play my own fate however I see fit. With a cup of self-destruction bubbling in each fist, complete with a mentality seeking to get ripped. In the science of applying it ain't really deep shit. It's as simple as logistics and breathing. Simple as 5 chicks in the bathroom applying makeup, and I'm tired of waiting, so it's time for public urination. They can take a permanent vacation while we're racing against death. I got for the moon and spring quick. Kidnapping and tainted passion is all I plan to do, and charge the kids to play a role in the game like facts, and I do not attempt to bring my high down. Disrespect, gotta break the guns and guitars out. I'm repping these rules like corrupted cops. I can't get caught, so make a decision and choose one. House or the garage? Take that to the house or the garage. Man, I know you got enough guns to fill 2 trunks, but if the cops sold, then you have to choose one. That's the house or the garage. Man, take that to the house or the garage. Ripping and tearing up the track cause we live so fast that I ain't got time to die young. My soul's addicted, dancing to a broken medley. So deep in this, I could swim till the ocean's empty. Cause my soul's addicted, dancing to a broken medley. So deep in this, I could swim till the ocean's empty. Cause my soul's addicted, dancing to a broken medley. So deep in this, I could swim till the ocean's empty. Cause my soul's addicted, dancing to a broken medley. So deep in this, I could swim till the ocean's empty. Cause my soul's addicted, dancing to a broken medley.
Two other naming problems need to be cleared up. Non-linguists often call non-standard varieties slang. To linguists, slang refers only to words, either words new to the language or old words or phrases with new meanings. Slang is usually associated with younger speakers. In fact, a good indicator that a slang term is finished is when middle-aged university professors start using it. Most slang is short-lived. You don't hear many people say groovy or the bee's knees anymore, and I have no idea what these are. Crib, dope, whack are starting to sound dated as well, but some slang terms do hang on and become part of the standard language, such as mob, freshman, and many other expressions. Unlike slang, dialect is usually distinct in multiple linguistic domains, such as lexicon, morphology, syntax, and phonology, so we have a complex structure there, while slang is quote-unquote merely words, right? A second term is sometimes used for dialects is accent. We talked about accents with Dr. Mary O'Brien in our third episode of Linguistically Aware, and linguists use accents to refer only to pronunciation. Although dialects usually include accent differences, dialect and accent boundaries don't have to match. For example, many people speak standard English, but with an accent reflecting their ethnicity, class, religion, or region. So we have myself speaking or trying to speak standard English, and the accent I'm speaking with reflects my ethnicity, class, gender, and so on and so forth. So these two are very important terms to know. Sometimes in society, social distinctions will develop, and we can expect to find them reflected in linguistic distinctions, and variation in sociolinguistics or variation theory studies this connection. Central to the practice of variationist sociolinguistics is the concept of structure variation. In any language variety, there are many linguistic features that can be produced in more than one way. For example, many varieties of English have more than one way to pronounce the sounds represented by the letter combination th, such as thin, that, brother, path. Th is what we call the variable, the thing with several possible realizations. Each possible realization is called a variant. Across all the words of the language, the variant that is likely to surface depends on linguistic factors, such as position in the word, voicing, and other. In the third example, and in much variationist work, the focus is on linguistic factors affecting variation. Variation in sociolinguistics is sometimes described as too much linguistic and not enough socio. So the socio component does show up in two different ways. However, first, usually the research is conducted among speakers of non-standard varieties, and the research makes contribution to understanding these varieties. And one of the pioneers of sociolinguistics, William Labov, said that variationist work also concerns itself with social factors that influence variation in a structured way. So in the case of the or th, the choice of variant might be affected by the speaker's age, sex, or degree of education. We assume some variation within individual speakers or intra-speaker variation, especially in terms of style shifting, but most of this work looks at how speech varies according to speakers' social characteristics. In other words, researchers are looking at inter-speaker variation. So we have two types of looking at the users of language in terms of inter and intra-speakers variation. So these are very important notions because that's how we analyze the changes in the language and what's going on in the language. The last thing I would like to talk about is an interesting case of isolation that changes the language or retains the original form. The isolation means that certain parts of the world are physically isolated from everybody, and this isolation is reflected in linguistic and social practices and attitudes. So a good or a well-known case of physical isolation is the speech of Newfoundland. The speech of Newfoundland is distinct from the rest of Canada for 4 reasons. 3 of them are historical and 1 is geographical. It was settled very early, but by North American standards. Its settlers came largely from 2 areas, southwestern England and southeastern Ireland. Most immigration occurred before the mid-1800s, and the island is a long way from other heavily populated areas. The combination of these factors creates a perfect situation for dialectologists, because Newfoundland English retains many distinct speech features that have disappeared or diminished elsewhere. For Newfoundlanders, the first sound of the diphthong is a mid-central vowel somewhere between and a. Other pronunciation features associated with some varieties of Newfoundland English are the stopping of interdentals, such as that for that, and word initial H deletion. So there is no H, such as Holy Road for Holy Road. Newfoundland English also retains some of distinct morphology and syntax. For example, location can be marked with phrase final prepositions, as in the often quoted stay where you're to till I comes where you're at. Object pronouns can use subject forms, as in they see we instead of they see us, and plural s is sometimes absent, as in 2 pound instead of 2 pounds. So those are some of the characteristics, presumably Gaelic influenced and Irish influenced as well, which have been retained due to the physical isolation. Another case of isolation is linguistic isolation. Quebec French is so distinct and filled with interesting variation that it is actually one of the language varieties most studied by sociolinguistics. Quebec French is a good example of how isolated language varieties retain older features of a language while undergoing their own internally motivated processes of language change. For more than 2 centuries, French in North America has been isolated, but the isolation has been linguistic rather than physical. So we have some linguistic changes that have occurred in the language due to linguistic isolation, because nowhere around Quebec is French spoken, right? Some words, of course, some English words have been borrowed into Quebec French. A restaurant might give you a bill rather than facture for your orders of bin. And toast, I'm not really fluent in French, so I won't be trying to speak anymore. But there are so many cases where Quebec French and France French are quite different in terms of words and syntax and morphology. There is, for example, retention of older forms or archaisms, such as for the word flame or suspicion, and people who speak French will probably know. And in some cases, words have developed distinct meanings, such as ferry in Quebec and crossing in France have the same word but different meaning, right? Some syntactic differences observed in Canadian and French seem to represent either processes that started centuries ago or are internally motivated changes. So in casual speech, when people say je sais pas instead of je ne sais pas for I don't know, and that's something I can produce relatively well. And this was widespread in the 19th century, so this is something that has been retained in Canadian French speech. So we see that there are different kinds of isolations. One is physical, one is linguistic, and the third one is social isolation. I won't be talking too much about it, but I would recommend that you read the case of African Nova Scotian English, which is a very nice example of social isolation. There is so much to talk about when it comes to variation, social, and language aspects, and we hope to have an expert on the show with new ideas and with explanations of so many concepts. We have to speak about code switching and borrowing. We have to speak about contact languages, and these are very important or very interesting cases where languages change. Thank you very much for listening to me. My name is Dusan Nikolic. If you want to find out more about me, visit dusannikolic.com. If you want to find out more about linguists in Calgary, visit calgarylinguistics.ca. Stay tuned to this wonderful station. Listen to great music, great podcast, and see you all very soon. We will have an excellent guest in our next episode. Thank you.
I heard a scream in the night. You could have swore they were trying to call you. Some kind of call to prayer without the light. I waited for you, but you never showed up. So when the sirens and the gunshots followed, before you could answer, I decided the next time I call you, I won't wait before I take action. Just because I believe it doesn't mean it's there, but I see what's going on. A village that would first shout prayers into the night air before we called 911. It's not a bird or a plane, it's Fred Campbell. Police, like a better built gang, handcuffing authority to integrity by the waist. Nah, not for long till the next call, cause folks still think bullets are in the name of God. It's no loss for crushed menthol, shadow boxing the smoke, throwing jabs at a brick wall for fun to entertain the inevitable. When the night falls in, blood shadows to dust. I work between the law and the dirt. It's technically the same thing, but I'm at a loss for words. I always think about you even when I'm at my worst, cracking jaws and windows, pressing against nerves. Where did your daydreams go when you found out the middle class was a placebo? That your job was benefiting more prisons than people? Did you pull out a $5 bill and call it your equal? No GPS, I see through the maze. I graduated from the school of Dr. Strange. They pulling strings to put my style on trial. John Fogerty, and only called me rad when prefaced to totally. There's no guidebook on how to live when you're coming up in the Riverside Plaza Strip. I watch the price of life drop with every sunset, so I keep the stock up and forcing the cost to bid.
Muhammad Buddha on Jesus could save this city from itself in the evening. All eyes set on the wrong price. I won't wait for someone to do what's right. I never want your rendition of freedom, 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 freedom. I'll set fire in every wall while I'm breathing, 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 breathing.
Straight off the coast of Kenosha, I've seen the apocalypse twice. No bluff, trust me, you don't want a damn thing to do with it. The way it's going, you won't need cable to know the future's dim. I shift the foundation of any house I'm in. Broken homes, apartments, house of M. My expectations are weary when the big picture's moving like it was painted by Kawajiri. Midnight street light poster, a fading